う少年叶えたい未来もなくて夢に描かれるのを待ってた
Welcome everybody to my top 10 anime that are better than their manga original work. Jesus, that's not gonna fit in all the title. Oh well, my name is Misty/Kunise and it's good to be back to these classic videos. You know, when it comes to anime, a lot of people will always tell you, the manga's better. Which, in all fairness, 95% of the time, it is true. But I decided to dig deeper and find anime that instead are better than their original manga publication. It seems like a tall order, but if you hear me out, maybe we'll find some surprising entries. Also, just to drive my point across better, I'm striking for big titles that a lot of people know about. I think it would be cheap to use unheard of shows instead. But before we get in the actual list, let me tell you about today's sponsor, Listen Comics. Listen is a fantastic place to read amazing webtoons for a really cheap price. Oh, but I hear you say, what are webtoons? Webtoons are a type of digital comics like manga or manhwa. Listen is a legal way where you can support both the industry and the artists, and where you can sample different titles and then purchase coins to unlock your favorite chapters to keep on reading. It's super cheap and it's user-friendly. What is not to love about this? Their website works great on mobile, so it's a fantastic method to have your manga on the go. They have a wide variety of genre too, from action, drama, comedy, even some pretty mature stuff. Boy love, girl love, seriously, there's something for everyone. Currently I'm devouring He Does a Body Good. It's an hilarious one about a nerd nobody who gets a special power that makes anyone who touch him feel good. Yes, in that very special way. It's got some mature bits in it, so I wouldn't recommend it to a younger audience, but having it in color with reference and incredible art, it's something refreshing I truly enjoy, and I thought I'd share it with all of you, the viewers. But now onto the list you actually came to see. Let's go! Entry number 10, Sailor Moon. Everyone knows about Sailor Moon, right? You can relate to it. You've seen the classic as a kid, maybe. Like myself, perhaps. You enjoyed it, potentially? Well, did you know it's about 40% fillers? That's the sound of your mind exploding. If you compare it to the manga, from the first 60 episodes, 18s are canon content. The rest is character development we grew up to love and enjoy. Seriously, if you don't know it's filler, you assume it's just that great of a show. Episodic monsters, fun girls fighting evil in the moonlight. It sparked the whole magical girl genre. Nobody can really hate it. But I'll admit it's not the best example. The manga itself is a stellar creation, and depending on which you saw first, you might lean more on one side than the other. Saying it's better than manga is more of a personal preference, but it's food for thoughts. Number 9, K-On! K-On is one that is just objectively better, and if you want to be hipster about it, you'll have a really hard sell to do it on my behalf. First of all, it's a musical anime. Just that factor alone should be plenty to make you realize the anime medium have a leg up, cause, well, there's music in anime. If you make a story about music, it's a bit underwhelming if you can't hear it. But hey, maybe that's just me. Still, beyond the music itself, the character development is what I personally enjoy more about the anime version. The jokes have a better delivery thanks to the great voice actors, both from the Japanese and English cast, and the story is heavily focused on character. I do believe having the characters animated gives it the upper hand. Number 8, Cardcaptor Sakura. Again, for this one, it might come down to personal nostalgia and preferences. This anime is my all-time favorite, and it has 52 cards. Like a real deck of cards. And yeah, I know there's 3 secret cards plus the nuclear card art. Look, don't try to one-up me on this show, you can't. You just can't. My point is, in the manga, you know how many cards there are? 19. You can't even play Magic with 19 cards in your deck. Remember Mailing from the anime? Yeah, she doesn't even exist in the manga. There's so much lost potential in the manga that just make it lackluster when you compare it to the anime. The characters are more fleshed out, nothing feels forced, and even the movies goes the extra mile to let you know more about the characters with that cock block handing. Music is also god tier. Final battle makes me cry every time. It's so good, all across the board. Number 7. Yu Yu Hakusho. Yu Yu Hakusho is a case of hit or miss. You might like the manga much more than the anime, and vice versa. The major difference in this one is that in the manga, Yosuke spends a lot more time doing some ghost detective stuff. In the anime instead, it focused more on the shonen aspect. It's not patched with fillers per se, but it took out all the extra bits of Yosuke investigating. Personally, I like that decision. Keep it more inclined towards the fighting and the dark tournament. It just came out right. If you dig anime like Hunter x Hunter or Hitman Reborn, and you don't mind older art style, this is one I highly recommend. Number 6. Usagi Drop. I think it's fairly agreed across the board that Usagi Drop's manga took a spin for the worst around chapter 25, 26, after the time skip. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but that's when the time skip happens, and well, we all know how that went downhill. Without giving away any spoilers, the story is about a 30-year-old who has to take care of a 9-year-old girl. It's a super heartwarming show, and well, the time skip happens and it isn't anymore. That's where the anime made the great call to call it quits before the jump. Of course, not everyone will share my opinion once again, but for those of you who want the full experience, feel free to take it up on the manga. But when it gets weird, just remind yourself that I did warn you. Number 5. Parasyte the Maxim. Parasyte is an anime that I love way more than the manga for an absolute stupid reason. But hey, that's how I am as a person, and that fits the spirit of the video, so let's go! The original manga came out in the late 80s and 90s, but when they made the anime adaptation back in 2014, they decided to adjust everything to current technology. You can understand that cell phones weren't really big in the 90s, yet they do play a role in this update. It's a small detail, but I think it's a great touch that stay relevant. The art style is also greatly improved upon to steer away from that look manga had back in the 90s. If you never watched it and don't mind your fair share of gore, it's a great show I recommend to everyone. The music is also divine. Surely you can appreciate either medium. I just lean more on the anime for this one. Number 4. Mushishi. Mushishi is also here on this list for an unusual reason. The manga is a fantastic, and don't let me take anything away from it, but Mushishi, just like other anime that I like to call ambience anime, example Area the Animation, Kino no Tabi, or Natsume Yujincho, their anime focus on giving you a full experience. They build a universe and ambience that makes it complete when you watch it on the big screen. Whether that's due to the pacing, the soundtrack, or the acting, it's a feeling I could not replicate in the paperback version. But again, I can't say the manga is bad, it's just the anime had more resources and they tapped into each of them perfectly. I hope you can try it out if you haven't, because it will be worth your time.
Nani mono da, omae wa.
Number 3, One Punch Man. I think it's fair to say that a lot of people have seen this beast of an anime, but did you know about the manga? No, I'm not talking about this one. This one is a redo, a revamped version of the manga, not the original One Punch Man manga that came from an artist that calls himself One. This is his actual artwork. Yes, I know it has a face only a mother could love. It looks like it was drawn by a 5-year-old in kindergarten. Oh, but don't get me wrong, he still draws better than anything I could hope to achieve. No, One's strength is his amazing storytelling and character development. It's why it caught so much traction, even with his other work, Mob Psycho 100. The only perks I could see about the original manga of One Punch Man is you can see ahead of time what happens. Beyond that, you're best off with the anime.
焦り、怒り。
もし俺様の邪魔するってんなら貴様のご自慢のヘッドライトをテールラバーバカみたいに飛ばすなよボール取ってこいよつばきまたやったのかあいつ
Number 2, Your Lie in April. Just like K-On! And Mushishi, Your Lie in April is a story you can't truly enjoy unless you have the anime adaptation. I mean, it's a musical anime once more. Same thing would apply to Nodame Cantabile or La Corda d'Oro or even Sakamichi no Apollon. If you make a plot about music, but you can't hear it, you lose like 80% of its finesse. Well, that's a statistic that I pulled out of my ass, but you get my point. What it then becomes is a drama story. A very good one, but still doesn't give much on the musical aspect. Imagination can only take you so far. Yet again, this is the internet, so, I'm right. 1v1 me, final destination, no items, let's go.
お姉ちゃん、ハト来ないよ。あれ、おかしいな。
エリザベス敵襲か
敵襲だ。とんでもねえ狂気が俺の頭頂部に突き刺さらんばかりだった。俺はテロな。
And finally, number 1, Gintama. An anime I consider stronger than its manga counterpart, I will have to say, is Gintama. Once again, it's not because the manga is lacking in any way, more so what the anime bring over to the table. Gintama is heavily focused on comedy, and just like anywhere in the world, the delivery of the joke comes down to timing. The acting that is set along with the characters, add to it musical add-on and great animation, yeah, I do think the anime has a leg ahead of the manga. Maybe not by much, but it's still worth addressing. It does require a good appreciation of the Japanese culture to grasp some of the puns and everyday shenanigan they pull off, but don't let that stop you from trying it out. It's been going for years, it's about time you get into it.
一体何者なのかを
つまり資源を管理するはずだった連中がその力を利用したと。
各星にある穴は蓋をされやつ
But those are simply a handful I could find that I consider more interesting than their manga version. Do you know any more that you would consider even better than their manga? I'd be curious to hear about more titles. In the meantime, if you're still on Team Manga, I suggest you check out Lesson. They have a bunch of free sample on each title. You can try them out and see if they're to your liking. Anyway, that's all the time I had for this week. I hope you had a blast, maybe sport a partial all throughout this video, and I will see you again next week. Unless you're not subscribed, then I hope you have a great life, and maybe we'll be friends someday.